Deep in the heart of Anatolia lies a forest. It's not like any other. This forest is dark, it's mysterious, it's cursed. At least that's what the locals say. They speak of it in hushed tones. Their eyes dart around nervously, as if the mere mention of its name might summon something sinister. The trees stand tall and ancient. Their gnarled branches reach out like grasping fingers. Shadows dance between them, even on the brightest days. The air is thick with secrets. Whispers of the past echo through the undergrowth. It's a place where reality blurs, where the veil between worlds grows thin. At the forest's core, a village once thrived. Now it's a ghost of its former self. Crumbling stone walls tell tales of abandonment, of fear, of flight. The village holds the key to the forest mysteries. It's said to be home to jinn. These supernatural beings are not to be trifled with. They are capricious, powerful, dangerous. For generations, the forest has been avoided, feared, respected, but legends have a way of drawing the curious, the brave, the foolish. And so our story begins with a man who dared to challenge the curse, a man who would soon learn the true power of the dark forest. Cem was not like the others. He didn't shy away from the unknown. He embraced it. As a journalist from Istanbul, he lived for stories, the stranger, the better. When he first heard whispers of the cursed forest, his eyes lit up. His pulse quickened. Here was a mystery begging to be unraveled. He was young, ambitious, perhaps a bit reckless.
I've built my career on exposing the truth behind urban legends. I've debunked haunted houses, revealed the tricks behind supposed miracles. But this is different. The fear in people's eyes when they spoke of the forest. It's raw, real. It calls to me like a siren song.
Cem did his research. He pored over old texts, interviewed locals, gathered every scrap of information he could find. The more he learned, the more fascinated he became. Tales of jinn, of people vanishing without a trace, of eerie lights and unexplained phenomena. It was a goldmine for a storyteller like him, but Cem was no fool. He knew the risks. The warnings were clear.
Stay away, they said. The forest doesn't give up its secrets easily. Yet I can't resist. The pull is too strong. I have to see for myself, to experience the forest firsthand.
Little did he know the forest was waiting for him, watching, anticipating his arrival with ancient, patient malice. The day of Cem's expedition dawned grey and gloomy, a fitting backdrop for his venture into the unknown. He packed light, a backpack with essentials, his trusty camera, a notebook for jotting down observations. As he approached the forest's edge, a chill ran down his spine. The trees loomed before him, silent sentinels guarding dark secrets. He took a deep breath, steeled his nerves. With a final glance back at the safety of the known world, Cem stepped forward.
The forest seems to swallow me whole. The canopy above blocks out most of the light. Shadows dance at the corners of my vision. Every step takes me deeper into the heart of the legend.
The air grew thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. Cem's senses were on high alert. Every snapping twig made him jump. Every rustle of leaves had him spinning around, but he pressed on. His journalist's instincts told him there was a story here, a big one, if only he could uncover it. Hours passed, or was it days? Time seemed to lose meaning in this place. Cem's initial bravado began to waver. The forest played tricks on his mind.
I could have sworn I saw faces in the bark of trees, heard whispers carried on the breeze. More than once I thought I heard my name called out. But when I turned, there was nothing. Just the endless sea of trees, and the growing feeling that I'm not alone.
As Cem ventured deeper, an unsettling silence fell. It was unnatural, oppressive. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The silence pressed in on him from all sides. It made his ears ring. His own heartbeat sounded thunderous in comparison. He found himself whispering, afraid to disturb the quiet.
Then the signs began. Subtle at first, a flash of movement in my peripheral vision. Strange symbols carved into tree trunks. My rational mind tries to explain them away, but doubt creeps in. I feel watched, followed. The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. I quicken my pace, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity.
The forest seemed to shift around him. Paths that should have been straight twisted and turned. Cem found himself walking in circles, or were the trees moving? He shook his head, trying to clear it. The air shimmered with an otherworldly quality. Reality felt thin here, as if another world pressed against it, trying to break through. And then he heard it, clear as day, his name.
Sem.
It echoed through the trees, a whisper, yet loud enough to make him jump. He spun around, heart pounding.
Who's there?
But only silence answered. The forest seemed to be toying with him, leading him on, drawing him deeper into its embrace. And Sem, despite his growing fear, followed the call, driven by a need to know, to understand, to uncover the truth behind the legend.
This place. It's like stepping back in time. Section 5. The abandoned village, a glimpse into the past. After what felt like an eternity, Cem stumbled upon a clearing. His breath caught in his throat. Before him lay the ruins of the village, the one from the legends. Crumbling stone walls stood as silent witnesses to a bygone era. Abandoned houses, their windows dark and empty, seemed to watch his every move. The air here was different, charged with an ancient energy. Did I just see? No, it couldn't be. Cem approached cautiously, his camera clicking rapidly, capturing every detail. Moss-covered stones, faded carvings on doorways, the remains of what might have been a well in the village center. It was a gold mine of historical significance. But something felt off. The ruins were too well preserved, as if time had stopped here, frozen in the moment of abandonment. As he explored, Cem's unease grew. He found no signs of recent human presence, no footprints but his own. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling of being observed. The empty windows of the houses seemed to follow his movements. Shadows deepened where they shouldn't. And was that a flicker of light in one of the buildings?
Cem blinked, and it was gone. He pulled out his notebook, jotting down observations with shaking hands. This place was the key to the forest's mysteries. He could feel it, but what had happened here? What force had driven the villagers away? And why did it feel like the village was still alive? Cem's journalistic instincts warred with his growing fear. He knew he should leave, but the story, the truth, it was here, waiting to be uncovered. And so, he pressed on, unaware of the ancient eyes watching his every move, Section 6. The Old Woman's Prophecy. As twilight descended, Cem noticed a faint glow from one of the houses. Curiosity overcame caution. He approached, heart pounding. The door creaked open at his touch. Inside, hunched over a flickering fire, sat an old woman. Her eyes, when she looked up, seemed to glow with an inner light. Cem's breath caught.
Who are you?
I've been waiting for you, Cem.
She smiled, revealing teeth too sharp to be human. Cem stumbled back, shocked. How did she know his name?
The forest has been expecting you. The Jinn have been restless.
She spoke of ancient pacts, of boundaries crossed, of a price to be paid.
What do you mean? What price?
The old woman cackled, a sound that sent shivers down his spine. Cem found his voice, asked questions. But for every answer, more mysteries arose. The old woman spoke in riddles, of a world beyond the veil, of powers mortals shouldn't meddle with. Her words painted a picture too fantastic to believe. Yet, in this place, surrounded by the weight of the forest's presence, Cem found himself believing.
They come.
Then mid-sentence she stopped, her eyes widened with fear.
They come.
And before Cem could react, she vanished, simply faded away like mist. The fire went out, plunging him into darkness, and from outside he heard it, the rustling of leaves, the cracking of twigs. Something was approaching, many somethings. The Jinn had come to claim their due.
Panic gripped me. I stumbled out of the house into the village square. The twilight had deepened into an unnatural darkness. Shadows moved, writhed, and took shape. The Jinn were no longer hiding. They emerged from every corner, every crevice. Their forms shifted and changed. Some looked almost human, others were creatures of nightmare.
Cem's camera flashed frantically, capturing images he knew would never see the light of day. His mind reeled. This couldn't be real, yet the danger was undeniable. The Jinn advanced, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Some grinned, showing teeth too sharp, too numerous. Others reached out with elongated fingers, claws glinting in the darkness.
I tried to reason with them, to plead, but my words fell on deaf ears. The Jinn were not interested in conversation. They had waited too long, hungered too deeply. I was their prize, their plaything, their sacrifice to the ancient powers that ruled this cursed place.
The air crackled with supernatural energy. Reality itself seemed to warp around them. Tem's journalistic instincts warred with his survival instinct. Part of him wanted to stay, to document, to understand. But the primal part of his brain screamed at him to run, to flee, to escape this nightmare before it was too late. In the end, fear won out. With a strangled cry, Tem turned and ran, plunging into the dark forest, the sound of otherworldly laughter and the rustle of pursuit close behind.
I ran faster than I'd ever run before. Branches whipped at my face, roots seemed to reach up to trip me, but I didn't slow down. Couldn't slow down. The forest was alive around me. Trees shifted, paths changed. I was sure I'd passed the same gnarled oak 3 times now. But still, I ran.
Behind him, the jinn gave chase. Their forms flickered in and out of reality, sometimes right behind him, sometimes ahead, waiting. Their laughter echoed through the woods, a cacophony of inhuman sounds that chilled Cem to his very soul. They were toying with him, a cat playing with a mouse before the final pounce.
My lungs burned, muscles screamed in protest, but terror drove me on. How had I been so foolish? The warnings, the legends, they were all true. And now I was paying the price for my curiosity, for my arrogance in thinking I could uncover the forest's secrets without consequence.
In his panic, Cem didn't notice the change at first. The trees were thinning. A glimmer of hope sparked in his chest. Was he nearing the edge of the forest? Freedom? Safety? He pushed himself harder, ignoring the scratches, the bruises, the exhaustion. If he could just make it out.
But as I burst into a clearing, my hope turned to ash. I was back in the village. The jinn had led me in a circle. And now they closed in, ready to claim their prize. Trapped. Surrounded. My back pressed against the cold stone of a ruined building. The jinn encircled me, their forms more solid now, more terrifying. I could see details I wished I couldn't. Eyes that glowed with ancient malice, mouths filled with too many teeth, limbs that bent in impossible ways.
This was it, the end of his journey, but Cem wasn't going down without a fight. He grabbed a fallen branch, wielding it like a club. The jinn laughed, amused by his futile resistance. He swung wildly. The branch passed through some of them like smoke. Others it struck, eliciting hisses of pain and anger. But for everyone he fended off, 2 more took its place.
My strength was fading. The adrenaline that had fueled my flight was running out. My swings became slower, weaker. The jinn sensed my fatigue. They pressed closer. Claws reached for me. Whispers filled my mind. Promises of power, of knowledge, of eternal life. All I had to do was give in, submit to their will.
For a moment, Cem wavered. The offer was tempting, to know the secrets of the universe, to transcend mortality. But in that hesitation, he saw the trap, the malice behind the honeyed words. With a final surge of defiance, he swung the branch one last time.
No!
His voice echoed through the ruins. And then silence fell. The jinn paused, surprised by his resistance. It was the last thing Cem saw before darkness claimed him. Days passed, then weeks. Tem's disappearance made headlines. Search parties combed the forest but found nothing. No trace of the ambitious journalist. His last known location was the edge of the cursed woods. Beyond that, only speculation remained. Theories abounded. Some said he'd gotten lost, fallen victim to the unforgiving wilderness. Others whispered of darker fates. Tem's notes were found in his Istanbul apartment. They painted a picture of a man obsessed, pages filled with legends of the forest, of the jinn, of ancient pacts and supernatural forces. But to many they were the ramblings of an overworked mind, a man who'd lost touch with reality. Only those who knew the forest's true nature understood the gravity of what they revealed. As time passed, the search was called off. Tem became another statistic, another name on the list of those the forest had claimed. His family mourned, colleagues speculated, but the truth remained hidden, locked away in the heart of the dark forest.